Um, so welcome everybody. This is the end of this October 2020 UPR Advocacy Week organized by ILGA World and COC. And we're here with a few of the persons who participated into this week. So I'm just going to ask you to introduce yourselves and yeah, let us know who you are, where you come from.
All right, so I'll begin. I'm Nicoy Wilson. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Officer at JFLAG. That's a Jamaican-based human rights organization which advocates for the rights of the LGBT community here. For that, I was a journalist for one of the papers in Jamaica, and before that, I was a TV reporter. So I have background in media. So I have some knowledge of how the media treats and perceives and deals with LGBT people here.
So I'm Inkma. I'm from the LGBT Center in Mongolia. I'm the executive director, and this was my first time taking part in the advocacy part of the UP. Quite interesting. I was very nervous in the beginning, and then after meeting 6, 7 country diplomats, I got more relaxed, and I actually learned a lot from my colleagues who participated here from different countries in terms of strategizing how to speak, how to address the issues and provide the recommendations to the diplomats. Having seen the diplomats in their home or in their comfortable space, it actually made me feel more comfortable. I somehow expected like ties and, Geneva and UN. I thought it would be more serious, but just seeing them as like just face to face was really, really good. I felt like being heard and being supported by the countries.
Hi everyone, I am Sammy from Malawi, pronouns they, them. I work for Ivy Foundation, a lesbian, intersex, and bisexual organization in Malawi. It's been a week and a half for me. My network was bad. Everything was just shaky. I was nervous. So it was my first time participating for the UPR. So it was a great experience. Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Jean. I use she, her pronouns with the Human Rights Campaign in Washington, D.C. And I was here speaking about the situation of LGBTQ people in the United States and advocating for some attention to be drawn to this, especially in light of the rollbacks that we've seen and suffered over the last 3.5 years. I want to thank ILGA for this opportunity. You do an amazing job always, whether it's in person or virtual. This is my second time doing it, but in bringing advocates together, helping us share among ourselves knowledge about what's going on in our countries, and then giving us the opportunity that we could never have to reach out and meet with all of the diplomats in person or on screen, as the case may be.
Thank you everybody for introducing yourselves. And actually, I kind of miss meeting all of you. Usually I'm physically present when the UPR advocacy weeks happen in Geneva. And so it's kind of weird to actually only get to interact online, but it's great to meet you. And I hope you had a great week. And my next question is, what were you hoping to achieve by taking part in the UPR process?
Well, for me, I was trying to, having an understanding of what the UPR process is. I was really expecting to interact with the delegates in a way that we probably would not normally be able to, and to really bring home the challenges that we're facing in each of our countries. I think we did that. I think most of us were able to really help them understand what was happening, especially based on the questions that they asked. You could tell that they were actually, interested in hearing what you had to say and the issues that are affecting your country.
For me personally, I think to be able to have conversations with diplomats and just air out what's happening in our respective countries was really it feels like someone is listening, and all this fight we're doing on the ground is getting heard out there.
For me too, I actually didn't know how, like, what to exactly expect, but I just wanted to make sure, wanted to ask the more suited recommendation that be more likely to be given and given to our country. It was good. It was better than I expected, to be honest. I didn't really expect them to interact with us that much. I thought 5 minutes was very short, but there was an extra time to communicate and actually being heard.
And my goal from the US point of view was to really just have a chance to make the case about the need to ask a question on or recommendation on LGBTIQ issues, and hopefully that worked, but we will see in early November.
Thank you. Thanks again. And my other question is if the presence of other activists from other countries helped you learn more about what the others are facing and maybe learn some strategies or techniques or ideas. Was this week useful to come together and learn from each other, do you think?
As it relates to strategies, I don't think I was really listening for strategies. I was more interested in hearing what was happening in other countries, because you go online, you read, but you don't necessarily get the real idea of what the experience is like. So, for example, in Jamaica, I'm an openly gay man here, and I'm not necessarily affected by the discrimination and the other issues that some others are experiencing. And so it's kind of just being able to kind of appreciate, the progress that we've made in Jamaica, when compared to other countries, and also where we need to go when you hear what other countries have implemented in their own systems, in their own legal systems.
For me, I would say it was really encouraging to see other countries talk about their experiences and what they have been through in advocating for LGBTIQ rights. The strategies were really nice. They're not the strategies we could use directly, but it's something we'll definitely look at in the long run. So yeah, it was really nice to see. It wasn't nice to see the struggles we're going through, but it was still encouraging to see that as Africa, we're all here together.
Yes, it was very empowering to see other activists around the world fighting hard, and yeah, it was very empowering for me. And I did pick up few strategies and ideas from listening to other activists, and thank you for that.
I always learn from listening to folks from around the world and how they are dealing with their particular issues. In our work with global partnerships, I engage with people in many countries, but every single time I learn something, and this time was no exception. And it's a great opportunity for us in the US to engage with folks on the same, using the same human rights instruments to advance human rights issues in our own countries. So from that point of view, the UPR is a great process, and it's a great chance for us to work together. Thank you.
I think it's really fantastic that it actually worked also in a virtual setting and not just in a physical presence. So it's really great to hear that. And I have one final question for each of you. If you had one tip that you want to share with activists who are planning to engage in the UPR process, what would this advice be?
I would say to keep an open mind. I think when you come with your recommendations, you have to take into consideration what the country that would be recommending prioritizes. Be flexible, I would say. Because as it relates to human rights, it does take time. Countries do take time to accept certain things, and so we have to be flexible. And I suppose also we have to trust the experience of the individuals who are going to be making the recommendations as well.
I would actually say be patient. Take a deep breath. It's not easy to pitch out everything in your country to these diplomats on a daily basis. And like Nikki said, it takes time. Change is not gonna come immediate. So we also need to understand that there's so much happening, and just take it easy. It will happen, and relax.
If English or Spanish is not your first language, don't worry. Just, just don't worry. Just the diplomats, they will listen to you. Just do your best. When you worry about your English or your Spanish being limited, it adds more stress. So just practice and do your best when you meet the diplomats, and it will be okay.
And I would say, don't be intimidated by the process. I mean, it seems very, high level and diplomatic and everything, but the fact is there's a real role for civil society in this process, and ILGA will also help you through it. And actually I also want to acknowledge COC Netherlands for their co-leadership of the workshop, and Nikki was great. But just dive in. Next time you see an email that says, are you engaging in the UPR, just say yes, and then let people help you and engage and make it easy and accessible for you, because it does make a difference and our voices are important, and it is worthwhile participating and being heard.